Praise be to Yahweh Ba'Shem, Yahushai Ba'Shem, Bakakadash, Dabuhana to the Elder, and the Apostle from Great Miston. Peace, blessings, salvation to the Chama pushing this truth to the four windows of the earth. So today I am going to talk about this breaking news. Trump sanction Iran oil to skyrocket. First of all, I want you to understand the importance of oil. Oil is referred to as black gold. Black gold. Why? Because oil became the replacement of diamond, man, or salak. Oil became the replacement of gold. That's why we call it black gold, man. Back in the day, gold was used as a means of exchange, man. International means of exchange. You can go to China if you are from either Saudi Arabia, because in China got gold. You can do a trade there, buy gold or silver. So Esau being the wicked, and Esau is backward. Always Esau do things backward. That's to tell you that he is Satan, man. So Esau came from the dollar up to paper. Esau began to make paper money, man, because he wanted to be rich. He wanted to rule everybody. So he cannot gather himself enough gold to be rich, because Esau has a short time to rule. So he came with a plan to make this paper money, because he can print paper a single day to fill his desire, man. He got desire like hell, man. So they printed dollar, man. And because America, after the First World War, all of these other countries went bankrupt, man, except for America. And that was the will of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai. So America, being a country which did not went bankrupt after World War I, and America was a rising banking country, so they loaned everybody money, man, everybody. So after that, America was able to load everybody, because the Bible says your debtor is your Lord, man. If you are in debt with somebody, he can tell you what to do, and they will do. So America told this other nation what to do. He said that he introduced this petrodollar money, which is a OPEC country. You can study the OPEC countries. This includes Saudi Arabia, Oman, and all that Arabian country, man. And this oil, the discovery of oil as black gold, this is the way of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai. Where is oil found? Oil is found in the Persian Gulf, or the Arabian Peninsula. What do we call that? That the Persian Gulf. The Persian Gulf is called the Valley of Jehoshaphat, man. So that oil will be used to draw all this other nation to the Valley of Jehoshaphat, Yahweh, for judgment, man. Oil will be the key, man. All of this other country, when the price of oil is skyrocket, because you cannot run a country without oil, man. You will die. So they will go to Middle East to get oil, man. It will get hot there in Middle East. Everybody will be fighting everybody, and everyone against everyone. That's judgment, man. So this oil is important. You need to be on a lookout for news concerning oil, man. Because when this economic collapse hit, it will hit harder, man. If it is calm and they find you unaware, you will be sold, man. So let's go to scripture and see what the Lord say in 2 Ezra 9 verse 1. He answered me then and said, measure those a time diligent in itself, and when thou seest part of the sign past, which I have called thee before, then shall thou understand that is the very same time wherein the highest will begin to visit the world which he made. What is to measure the time, man? By looking the news, man. If you see the price of oil go high, know that the famine is coming, man. The famine is coming. So you will see here, you will measure the time diligent and say that we are approaching the famine here. We are approaching for the nation to go in the valley of Jehoshaphat. The nation are in the valley of Jehoshaphat right now, but they have put some regulation which makes them not to fight right now. But when the price of oil skyrocket, they will not regard those regulations which they put. You can read in the book of Second Ezra. They will not regard their kings or prince. That means they will not regard the regulation. So that will bring about what you see. So let us go and see here what this devil is talking about.
Hey everybody, I'm Christopher Green. You're watching Any Friends' Family Description Thief
Importing Iranian oil entirely. Last November, we granted exemption
States federal government and the Trump administration.
Our goal has been to get countries to cease importing Iranian oil entirely. Last November, we granted exemptions from our sanctions to 7 countries and to Taiwan. With this is to give our allies and partners to wean themselves off of Iranian oil and to assure a well-supplied oil market. Today, I'm announcing that we will no longer grant any exemptions. We're going to zero across the board. We will continue to enforce sanctions and monitor compliance. Any nation or entity interacting with Iran should do its diligence and err on the side of caution. The risks are simply not going to be worth the benefits.
Now, when I say this, I know it's not popular. Okay, it's not my goal to be popular, win a high school contest for the coolest kid in town. My job here at Alternative Media Television is to tell you the truth. And also, I need you to understand this is bigger than Donald J. Trump. It is bigger than the president that I support, that we support, that we helped to elect to Commander-in-Chief during the last election, and also whom we fully support in 2020. In fact, I think Donald Trump will win in a landslide unless the radical left throws a wild card into the mix, and I still have not ruled out them introducing Michelle Obama as a potential candidate, even though she says that she's not going to run, or it could even be somebody like Oprah, because we are in kind of this like unreality show that is America today, and this is what we're dealing with. And the current landscape of Democratic candidates just sucks, and they have no chance of winning, in my humble opinion. But that is not the crux of today's story. The crux of today's story is Iran, and a major announcement by Secretary Mike Pompeo that there will no longer be more waivers referring to Iranian oil exports, and they are attempting to force Iranian oil exports to absolute critical zero. These are the words of Mike Pompeo. His goal to cease, and I'm paraphrasing a bit, Iranian oil exports completely, which means the 8 or so countries, including Taiwan, that they gave waivers to temporarily to kind of get off the teat of Iranian oil is going away. And they are forcing a radical move to bring Iran to its knees and completely, this is the attempt, collapse its economy. Now, we've seen recently in the last few years hyperinflation in Iran as a result of these sanctions. And I'm not even saying Donald Trump isn't doing the right thing here. Okay, the deal that Barack Obama posed and signed into whatever he signed into with Iran was a very, very bad deal. Okay, remember it was John Kerry and Secretary of the State at the time and Obama.
So all of this dictatorship and all of this American doing, putting sanction on everybody, putting embargo on everybody, the nation will come to hate America, man. The nation will come to hate America. Let's see. This is Revelation 17 and 16. And the 10 horn which is also is upon the beast, this shall hate the whore, and they shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire. So shall make her desolate, man. That include family, and that include American plan to fail on every level. So this sanction will not prevail, because the time of America to load on everybody has come to an end. The time of America to dictate everybody have come to an end. So because the white man or Esau is very proud, his proud has deceived him. He's still using the same old technique, man. Because one point at a time, America proclaimed themselves as a Christian country through his philosophy, his Jewish, that wine, man. So everybody drank the wine of America, man. Nobody was able to go against America. Nobody was able to say anything against America, because the nation were drunk with that Babylon Jewish, which is a philosophy. But the time of Esau is coming to an end. When you see everybody is against America, everybody is exposing America, making her desolate and naked, exposing the lie of America. This is the same trick of America, funding this terrorist, and as an excuse to go and invade a country. You see, Russia is exposing him, America is exposing him, Maduro exposed Trump, calling him a devil. So the time of America is come to an end, man. America is failing on every front, man. And this sanction will not work, man, because Iran is, they know that one day America will sanction them. They are prepared. And Iran, remember, Iran is a very strategic place. Remember, Iran is an ancient Persian. Persian destroyed Babylon, and there is no new thing under the earth. And Yahweh requires the past. So if Babylon mess against Persia, let's put it like this: if Babylon mess against Persia, Persia will destroy Babylon. So that old Jewish American, the wine of American is becoming bitter now. Everybody is waking up and saying, "What kind of wine is this, man? What kind of wine is this?" Everybody is refusing to drink the wine of America. This is Habakkuk 2 and 5. Yeah, also because he transgressed by wine, his philosophy, that Babylonian Jewish, in which everybody thought that it was good. And the nation are realizing they are poor because of America. He is a proud man. So America has transgressed in his philosophy. He believes in his philosophy. Those philosophy have made Esau or America being proud. He doesn't even realize that those old technique, sanction and embargo, they don't work. Even a law citizen from a third country like me, I can see that the American is failing. Those old technique are failing, man. Even I am not an expert or an intelligentsia, but I can see that, I can see through America. If they do a first flag, I can see this is the first flag, man. So America is failing on every front. If I can see through America, how about the Russian double agent, man? The Russian intelligence, the Iranian intelligence, they knew this before even it happened. Neither keep peace at home. Who don't keep at home? Esau. He's everywhere. He's in Middle East. He's in Korea. He's in Venezuela. He's in Europe. He wants even to invade Russia. He's in Africa. He's in Brazil. He enlarges his desire as hell and as death. He is not satisfied, man, and cannot be satisfied, but gather unto him all nations, and heapeth unto him all people. Shall not all this take up a parable against thee? So the Lord is asking you, all of these people in which America is oppressing, will not they devise a plan against him to counter his philosophy, to counter his dictatorship, to counter his lordship, to counter his majesty, and to bring him low? And taunting provided against him, and say, woe to him that increases that which is not his. How long? And to him that ladeth himself with this clay. So how long will America do this? The time has come where everybody is seeing through America old and the same tactic. Shall they not rise up suddenly that shall bite thee? So this other nation in which America is oppressing, they shall bite him one day. Like the saying, don't press too much a cat. If you take a cat and beat and beat and beat the cat, the cat will be screaming, meow, will be screaming, meow, 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 like begging you to leave the cat. Beat the cat, close the door, and see how the cat will do to you. The cat will literally kill you. The cat is a dangerous animal, man. Even though it is all good and all that, you can beat the cat all that you want, but when the cat is tired, man, the cat will pluck your eyes out. That's how dangerous the cat is. So the Lord is taking you, is asking you, will this nation one day don't bite America, man? This big bull, America. They shall not rise up suddenly that they shall bite thee, awake that shall vex thee, and thou shalt be for booty unto him. Because thou hast spoiled many nations, talking about America and Esau, all the remnants of the people shall spoil thee. So this nation will rise again one day like a cat, man, and they will pluck the eye of America because of many blood and for the violence of the land, of the city, and all that dwell therein. Woe to him that covetous evil, covetous to him his house, and the way set his nest on high, that he may deliver from the power of evil. So that was basically it, man. America is a big bully, man. Let's continue
It
listening.
dropped off, what was it, like $1 billion in cold hard cash to give to Iran. Okay, so I'm not even saying that what Donald Trump is doing here isn't the right thing to do. But what I'm telling you is the truth. Iran will be Donald Trump's war, or at least it will be remembered as Donald Trump's war. And it will tie very specifically in, mark my words, to the 2020 election talking points. And I actually think it's going to help Donald Trump and his re-election in 2020. Also understand and realize that there are very dark, evil forces at work here, bigger than Donald Trump. Okay, this is big, bad, deep state establishment figures and those that really pull the puppet strings that have always intended to push war with Iran as the final nail in the coffin in the Middle East. This is why there's a war in Syria. There's been the attempted ouster of Bashar al-Assad. We had the forced ouster and assassination of Libyan leader Muammar Gaddafi, courtesy of Susan Rice and Barack Obama. And they lied to you tuning in about Benghazi Gate and Christopher Stevens, who was a CIA intelligence asset. And we've seen this again and again, whether or not it's Gaddafi or it's Saddam Hussein. And we've always known that Iran will be the final biblical war. And we see the moves shaking out right now. We see it in the Middle East. We see it with the building of a brand new temple, with the rise of the Antichrist. We see it with the Sri Lanka bombings over the weekend, which I refuse to commentate on because Easter, frankly, is a holy day, and it's just not something I'm going to talk about. But notice how the mainstream media, now that we're back in business, so to speak, notice how the mainstream media covered that up.
Easter is nowhere in the scripture, man. You shouldn't celebrate Easter. Don't listen to this devil. We are just here to listen to Iran news.
Covered up the fact that it was Christians that were targeted for their faith. It's Christian churches that are being targeted, Christian churches that are being bombed, ransacked, etc. Hundreds and hundreds of churches and Christian organizations are targeted on a monthly basis. Chad Booksam, our lead news editor-in-chief, just reported on that. I thought he did a fabulous report. And again, they're covering it up. What did Obama say about it? Oh, it's Easter, I don't even know what he said, Easter believers or something like that? Easter worshipers, according to Satan, according to Barack Obama. And so they refuse to call a duck a duck. So I think you understand this, but we need to know that we're under attack. If you're a Christian tuning in, there's a war against you, okay? And it's a very, very serious thing. And all of this plays into the forces of both good and evil. I even talked about this earlier in a video that I put out, kind of a public musing and motivational video. I encourage you to watch because it is fantastic. So here we have Mike Pompeo, and let me explain to you the gravity of this and what Iran has threatened as a result of these exemptions and the erasing of these waivers. About 1 year after the United States decided to leave the Iran nuclear deal, very bad one, the State Department is set to announce that all countries will have to completely end their imports of Iranian oil or be subject to U.S. sanctions. This is an escalation of the Trump administration's maximum pressure campaign, which seeks to force Tehran to end its illicit behavior around the world. On Monday morning, Secretary of State Mike Pompeo announced to the media that as of May 2nd, not too far out in the future, the State Department will no longer grant sanction waivers to any country that is currently importing Iranian crude or other materials. To State Department officials told this to the press. Last November, the State Department issued 180-day waivers to 8 countries to give them an opportunity to get off of Iranian oil. So, the question you should be asking yourself is, okay, well, what can Iran do here? Secondly, who buys Iranian oil, right? Because people will tell me, oh, Chris, it's just Iran. Don't worry about Iran. Even though they're nuclear armed, they have the capability to bomb every American city if they chose to launch an EMP, an electromagnetic pulse, bring down the entire grid. I mean, they have the nukes, okay? Just like Russia has the nukes, just like the United States has the nukes. So they're not a country to be underestimated. And we're fed so much propaganda here in the United States. Most people think that, like, Iran is not an industrialized nation, when it is. I've never been there personally, but I've seen a lot of video footage on it. I'd like to visit in the future at some point and get on the ground, take some video ourselves. But it is a very industrialized nation. It's a beautiful place. I think he's been to Iran, actually. And from everyone that I know that's been there, they just tell me how brainwashed Americans actually are. So this is a very capable, industrialized, nuclear state that is consistently and constantly fighting a propaganda war against the USA. So who buys Iranian oil? Now, the biggest buyer of Iranian oil is China, okay, which is also the perceived threat. This is what we're told here in America, at least if you listen to the lying mainstream media, that it's China that we're concerned about. At any minute, at a moment's notice, it would take just a heartbeat. China could request all of its investment into U.S. treasuries, for example, to be paid back. Trillions of dollars. It could crash and collapse our entire bond market. More importantly, our stock market. It could shut down the New York Stock Exchange and cause a major disruption. So we have China, a strategic ally of Iran, that Mike Pompeo and Donald Trump are actually asking to cease buying. They're one of their largest buyer. Cease buying Iranian exports immediately. Now, this harkens back before the outbreak of World
First of all, you need to know the importance of oil, man. I told you oil is in the Persian Gulf or in the Arabian Peninsula. This oil will be used by Hashem Yahushua to draw all this nation in the Valley of Jehoshaphat, because the Valley of Jehoshaphat is that place called the Persian Gulf, man. What will oil bring? The oil will make life expense to skyrocket, and the life will be hard on every country, man, because every country uses oil. When the price of oil skyrocket, the price of life skyrocket. So all of this nation will go to Middle East sending army to get oil, man. Everybody, man, will be there. So that's how oil is important. When that time come, what scripture is that? So this is Ecclesiastic verse 12 and 3. In that day when the keep of the house shall tremble, and the strong men shall bow themselves down, and the grinder cease because they are few, and those that look out of the window be darkened. So when the grinder ceases, everybody will be looking for solution in the Middle East. That's where the Lord Yahushua will start drawing all this nation to the Valley of Jehoshaphat. A big conflict will break out of there, man. The neck of Esau will be against Esau, war against war, and the famine will be going on. So it will be mayhem after mayhem, anarchy after anarchy, war after war.
War II. What did the United States do? They placed a very intentional oil embargo on the.
We are dumb money. We quit our day jobs to do this.
I'm going to check out the closest cannabis dispensary.
The Japanese and an embargo on other goods and products, which led to the bombing of Pearl Harbor and the entrance to a much greater war, which became World War II. Of course, tens of millions of people then went on to lose their lives. And we see the same thing happening again. So, we see sanctions being used as a tactic and mechanism of war. Now, what is Iran threatened in return? Also note it's been recently labeled a terrorist organization by the Trump administration as well, on the same level and par with Al-Qaeda and, of course, the Israeli Secret Intelligence Service, ISIS. And they have threatened, Iran has threatened closing down the Strait of Hormuz. And so what does this mean? How much oil moves through the Strait of Hormuz? By the way, China isn't the only country that buys Iranian oil. A lot of Europe buys oil from there. Turkey buys oil from there. Russia, not much so. They're pretty energy efficient themselves. But China is a very, very big buyer. Iran will close the Strait of Hormuz. They raised the stakes in the United States showdown and threaten to close this very key waterway. They say this: if we are prevented from using it, we will not hesitate to close it. The state-run Fars news agency reported, citing their head of the Revolutionary Guard Corps, Navy force, and then they go on to say, quote, in the event of any threats, we will not have the slightest hesitation to protect and defend Iran's waterway. Iranian officials have threatened to close the waterway in the past amid rising tensions with the United States, and these remarks could be an attempt to deter the U.S. from its plan to slash the nation's oil exports. Now, also, we need to look at the price of crude. In fact, I also think it's part of the agenda and the intention of globalist bankers to push up and drive the price of oil sky high. Now, we've done a pretty good job of becoming energy independent here in the United States. Now, I'm sure it's been at great cost to the environment with all of this fracking, all of this toxicity. In certain parts of America, for example, if you turn on a faucet, it'll just pour out fire in certain places as a result of all this new kind of technology and fracking and extraction of natural gas resources and oil. But notice how we've increased supply, where we've become one of the world's largest producers now. And now that we are off kind of the teat ourselves of all these exports, sucking on our mama's you-know-what, now we're feeling stronger and we're positioning for war against Iran. And this is exactly what Donald Trump is doing. Mark my words, and again, I realize it's not popular what I'm saying. This Iran will be known as Donald Trump's war. It's part of the end game. I think it actually helps him in the re-election process in 2020. But the commander's response comes as President Donald Trump prepares to deal a severe blow to the Islamic Republic's economy. Excuse me, bleed them to zero. So all of this is going on. Now let's take a look. Here's a corroborating report from the Times of Israel. Iran threatens to close Strait of Hormuz after the U.S. ends sanctions waivers. Let's take a look at the Strait of Hormuz itself. Here we have an image of the strait. You can see this here. A very narrow passageway, waterway. Okay, you can see Kuwait here bordering this area, Bahrain, Qatar, the United Arab Emirates, and also Oman. And then, of course, we have this big, very large landmass here in Iran. And we have Iran patrolling this area on a regular basis, of which I think they had been exporting up until the recent sanctions, if my memory serves me correctly, up to 2 million barrels a day. I think that has shrunk since the Trump sanctions and the renegotiation of the deal to about 1 million barrels a day. People will say, well, Christopher, that's a lot, but it's not shutting down the entire strait. Well, let me tell you why that's wrong. It's a fallacy, and it's a much bigger deal than you might think.
Let's grab some scripture here. So you see, the whole thing is that Esau is forcing everybody to obey what he is saying. So it will come a time this other nation will rise to the battle against Babylon, man. This is a book of Obadiah, man. As a sword to Esau. This book of Obadiah is very bad to Esau. Man. Esau won't touch this book. Verse 1 is a vision of Obadiah. Thus says the Lord, God concerning Edom. We have heard a lamb from the Lord, and an ambassador is sent among the heathen. So this news you are hearing here is a lamb, man, from the Lord. This news is from the Lord, man. The Lord is telling you. I have read that measure the time diligent. The Lord is telling you that He is about to spook America. Man. An ambassador is sent among the heathen. Arise ye, and let us arise up against her in battle. Who? Babylon, man. Let's go to verse 3. The pride of thy heart have deceived thee, that dwells in the cleft of the rock, whose habitation is high, that says in his heart, who shall bring me down to the ground? So, America putting sanction on everybody, that's a pride, man. He's saying, you stupid small nation like Iran, what can you do to me? What capability do you have? And you saw this dude, this Edomite is telling you, America are brainwashed. They think Iran is like Libya, man. Iran is an industrialized country, man. Iran is a country built thousands of years, man. Iranian capable people, man. So, and the Chinese have built many empires throughout the year. Throughout years, man. The Qing dynasty, the Han dynasty, and the Queen, the King, the Han, the Sui, the Tang dynasty, Kunlan dynasty, Zhou, and all of that. Those great empire. While Esau, you will see this reporter will tell you Esau is only 400 years, and there is threatening everybody. So this nation will be angry one day, and they will bring down Esau down. So let's go to verse 4. Thou exalt thyself as the eagle, and thou set thy nest among the stars, hence will I bring thee down, says the Lord. If thief come to thee, if robber by night, how art thou cut off? Would they not have stolen till they have enough? If the grape gazer come thee, would they not leave some grapes? How are the sin of Esau set out, and how are his hidden sins out? So this nation, they know the tactic of Esau. This philosophy and the wine of Esau. Let's go to verse 7. All the men of thy confederacy have brought thee even to the border. The men that were at peace with thee have deceived thee. So these other nations have never been with Esau. They were just deceiving him, and they prevailed against thee, so they will prevail. Esau won't notice that, because he is very proud to admit that. They that eat thy bread have laid a wound under thee, there is none understanding in him. Shall I not in one day, says the Lord, even destroy the wise men out of Edom, and the understanding out of Mount Esau? And thy mighty men, O Timam, shall be dismayed, to the end that every one of the mount of Esau may be cut off by slaughter. So this other nation will rise in battle against Esau. No?
The Strait of Hormuz is responsible not just for the transport of Iranian oil, but oil coming from all these other countries. Oil coming from a key U.S. ally, which, by the way, that's where Osama bin Laden came from. I don't know if you guys know that or not, but, Saudi Arabian national. This is where all the terrorists allegedly were, according to our State Department, that did September 11th, all this kind of stuff. All of this oil flows through this very specific strait and this very specific waterway out into the Gulf of Oman, into the Arabian Sea, and then exported all over the world. How much does that account for? How big of a deal is that? A 2007 report from the Center of Strategic and International Studies stated that 17 million barrels a day passed out of the Persian Gulf. 17 million barrels on a daily basis. But that oil, and this is a key point, flows through the strait. That flows through here accounts for 40% of all the oil traded in the world. So almost half of all oil exports worldwide come out of this little narrow area of which Iran has threatened to shut down. Now look, you got to look at it from Iran's perspective. If the economy is being forced into an economic collapse, it's being forced into hyperinflation, you're being labeled a terrorist organization. And the United States, right or wrong, is pushing for war, and her allies are pushing for war, and all these kinds of things. What do you do to defend yourself? You shut this down. This is a significant factor enough to cause an all-out war, a grinding to a halt of world exportation of these reserves, black gold. And by the way, notate that the U.S. dollar is backed by that black blood money gold, and also the threat of the...
I told you, oil is a black gold. You see this Edomite is telling you?
War machine in the military-industrial complex here in the United States. So it doesn't just tie into oil. It ties into the status and the very sanctity of our criminal central banking system and the entire order of the world. This is a very, very big deal. Again, I harken back to history. What happened after the oil embargo placed on Japan? War. The bombing of Pearl Harbor. People think that came out of nowhere. Of course, the United States and its leadership at the time had intelligence of the impending attack, but they needed that war to coalesce American support for a war that otherwise would have been proven to be very, very unpopular. Okay? Nobody wanted to go back to war post-World War I. We'd finished a great World War. Why would we get pulled into World War II? Pearl Harbor changed all of that. So all that's needed now is an event. And you have to understand and think, and also look at this from the perspective of China. Is China intimidated by Donald Trump? Is China intimidated by the old order? Are they intimidated by the United States? More and more millionaires have been minted in China than any other place in the world. This is a thriving, industrialized powerhouse, an ancient civilizations with thousands and thousands of years worth of history. Do you think they're impressed by us? A couple hundred years and the country's already going to hell in a handbasket? You think they sit around and think, wow, what a great empire the United States.
So Esau is realizing now that this nation, they were not afraid of Esau at first place. The Lord only gave Esau to rule a short time, and this other nation drank the wine of Babylon, and they are waking up now. They are being like, wait a minute, why are we saving this Edomite, this man without history, man? So this is what the Esau is telling you. Their empire is only for 400 years to 700 years. How do you think the Chinese? Do you think the Chinese are helped to save this Edomite and the Persian, which is Iran, the Mede?
It's his bill. No. They have quietly been rebuilding their empire, and they are taking over the world. We have seen this firsthand at AMTV as we traveled a good part of Southeast Asia late last year. So this is leading to an event. These escalation of tensions is reaching a boiling point. And I'll close with this. You need to understand that what the deep state is doing here, what Donald Trump is a part of, is pushing us to the brink of not just economic warfare, which has already been declared through sanctions and marking all of this down to zero, but now the greatest of all biblical wars worldwide. And it starts right here in this little area. And
even this Edo might tell you there will be a biblical war, but you got Jakes who think that there is no war, America will be destroyed by natural disaster, or will move to Africa. Wait a minute, if America is being hit by natural disaster, how Africa will be safe? This Edomite is better is way better than some other Jakes who said he at least know the city is coming.
Revolves around oil itself. And all of this is about to change. I'd like to hear your thoughts, comments in the box below, please.
So let us curse Babylon. Let us curse the white man. I am going to read a curse here. I am going to curse Babylon. Let us start. Kal halal Yahawa Bahashem Yahushai Bahashem Kakadash Babakasha. This is Isaiah 14:4. That thou shalt take up this proverb against the king of Babylon and say, how has the oppressor seized thee? The golden seized. The Lord has broken the staff of the wicked and the scepter of the ruler. Kal halal Yahweh Hashem Yahushai Bahashem Kakadash Babakasha. Amen. I hope the lesson was edifying. Until next time.